It's the TucknTuck Show, brought to you by the ARB at Tappan Square, Prestige Detailing, Oberlin Weekly, Now let's welcome the hosts of TucknTuck Show, Ahmad and Khalid.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to TucknTuck Show. This is episode number 13. We're moving on down the line. It'll be summer before you know it, man. We'll be playing cornhole again.
It will be. And speaking of that, I talked to Ian Yarbrough this week, and he said that on Fridays, he's going to start a league, and we can play cornhole on Fridays inside.
Now? In the wintertime?
In the wintertime, he's getting it all set up. They have to do something with the Prospect School. It's now taken over by the rec department, and they have to prove to city council that they can use the building. Oh. So they have, like, right now they have wrestling in there because I think the school, something happened, a flood or something happened at the middle school, and they can't wrestle there, so they're at Prospect for now. But when they're finished, he said they want to do have events there, and I know they have the seniors that can walk there in the morning. But he called me out and he said, "Would this be good enough for cornhole?" Like, this is plenty big enough. There's enough space.
Gym, pretty much.
Like I said, the gym was taken over by wrestling, but in the cafeteria, there was plenty of space in there. I went in there, threw a couple bags. He had two different ones set up, and they had plenty of space, more than enough. Oh, so he wants to have like good. 10. He wants to have like 10 teams come in, and then he said he could do it Friday, but not Saturday. So Friday's fine with me.
It works for me.
Yep. And other than that, I've been out and about in the city a lot, and a lot of people I see at stores and when I'm out shopping, they tell me how they like the show and I like watching the show. So I'm glad that people are still watching and supporting the show. I think that's great. And a lot of people that I didn't think would watch are actually watching the show, which is awesome. And I just like to thank all the people out there who keep supporting us every week, because that's important. Because we have a lot of fun on the show, a lot of silliness, but we have also serious issues that people like to talk about. And I'm just glad that people watch.
Yeah, we've had some really serious guests on.
Yeah.
Can't really complain about our guests. We've had great guests.
Yeah, we have. I mean, I'm just a knucklehead that they gave a microphone to, so nobody watches the show to listen to me, but the guests are what really drives the show.
It's your outtakes.
Yeah, the reels people.
The people love the reels, man.
The reels.
The outtakes that you have, they're always pretty funny.
And because of the guests and the future, what we want to do is we talked about having like a top fan, like people that watch the show every week, and we're going to start making up T-shirts and shirts and stuff. I had on one last week. I think I got a lot bigger from last week. But it's
stretched it out.
Yeah, stretched it out or shrunk in the wash or something.
Made it comfortable.
So we're gonna try to start giving away shirts for maybe one, every week, giving away a shirt, maybe a gift certificate to the ARB for people who always watch the show and are constantly, I guess supporting the show.
We want to try to start selling shirts too, get a little extra income going in here.
Extra? We don't have any.
Well, we're working on that too.
We don't have any income.
We're working on that too. I know he was talking about selling them at Ben Franklin's for a certain price. So well, it'd be nice to see people walking around town with our shirts on, man.
Yeah, maybe I'll put my face on a couple of them.
No, it's not going to be. That's not going to work.
Hey, man,
that is definitely not going to work.
Hey,
you want your face on the shirt, man?
Yeah, why not? Everybody else got a shirt, so I should have one too. I think I'm gonna branch out and I have my own separate clothing line, like Tucky Wear. You know what I'm saying? People would,
You're cutting into our management, man. You gonna steal his idea?
If Kanye can sell clothes and shoes for $300, I can sell a T-shirt for $10.
Yeah, you instead of Easies, what you gonna call it?
Tuckies.
Tuckies?
Yeah, Tuckies.
For the larger man.
Yeah, there you go. Tucky Wear. Tucky Bear for Tucky Wear for Tucky Bear. Hey, you never know, man.
Yeah.
It might catch on.
It might.
I got people that already said they would buy a T-shirt or whatever, but this show was just driven by the fans. And I don't know if they fans or people that supported people from Oberlin. That's the only reason that we really do the show. And the free food and the free liquor.
Yeah, that last show was great with the free food that she brought in. Those tacos were the bomb, man.
Yeah, the last show we had with Miss Jackson, she said February 1st, she's going to be open.
Breakfast and lunch.
Breakfast and lunch. So check her out. She said she's going to be doing southern food, southern breakfast, like chicken and waffles, grits.
Yeah, that's going to be a brunch on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's, yeah. So
she's going to be closed on Friday. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I am too. And the only thing is, we're sponsored by the ARB. Once again, if you want to go down there, they have great breakfasts also, and they're not expensive. So always support your local businesses, whether it be the ARB or Steel Magnolia, Black River. I support all of them.
I do too, because I don't like to cook.
No, me neither.
The older I get, the less I want to cook.
Yeah, or I'm going to cook. So, I don't cook anything.
Well, you still got your mom cooking for you, so you go over. Did you go over there today? It's Sunday. Did you go over and get leftovers today?
No, she calls me. She'll call me and say, I got some greens over here if you want them. I don't know why she asked. I want them.
You know you want them.
You don't act like you don't go over there too.
Yeah, but mine's always leftover from your leftovers that you didn't pick up.
Oh, well, you got to get there fast. She calls me first. And I'm slowly becoming, I think, the favorite. I don't want to say it out loud, but I think it's just facts. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know where you're getting these ideas that she likes you the best, man. But
Say it
I'll let you stick with that in your own brain. Actually, it's your kids that she really likes.
Yeah,
she
loves them more than anybody, more than any of us. Yeah, so she does. She's talking to me. I'm trying to get my son to come on the show. He said he might come on in the future because he's doing a lot of stuff as far as DJing for the crew and working for the Buckeyes, doing sideline reporting for the Buckeyes.
Basketball, yeah.
And he DJs the game too now.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he does both. He does the sideline reporting and he DJs.
Plus all his side gigs?
Yeah, plus all the weddings he does. And he works for the Columbus Crew DJing.
I think he needs to take us on a vacation.
I think so, man.
He's making a lot of money, man.
A lot. All right. Well, Matt's giving us the signal to wrap up. And when we come back, we will have
Cindi and Joella Byron-Dixon.
Cindi, don't mess up people's names. Cindi Byron-Dixon and Joella Byron-Dixon, and their mother and daughter.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back after this.
Hi, welcome to the ARB. Thank you. Have a great day. Come again.
Welcome back to the TucknTuck Show. Today's guest is brought to you by the ARB at Tappan Square.
Hey, welcome back to TucknTuck Show. We are here with Cindi and Joe Byron-Dixon, mom and daughter.
Yes,
Of the Indigenous.
the Indigenous Peoples Day Committee of Oberlin.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Indigenous Day Committee of Oberlin. What exactly do you guys do as Indigenous for your organization?
We founded the Indigenous Peoples Day Committee in 2016 to abolish Columbus Day and enact Indigenous Peoples Day here in Oberlin. We were the first city in the state of Ohio to do so, so we're very proud of that work. We gathered research for a year and then presented it to City Council, and they passed it and did away with Columbus Day. The reason that we started this work was that we feel that very often our history is kind of steeped in mythology,
Right.
and that it's time to tell the truth about Christopher Columbus and about what that day means to Native people and to their ancestors. So we felt it was an important issue, and we, like I said, we met once a month and researched in order to put that on the table for council.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much history that nobody even knows about Native Americans that's really should be out there. Hopefully we can get it out there. I mean, I don't understand how they were even saying Columbus discovered America to start with. That's all a bunch of BS, from anybody who knows any kind of history. Can you explain to people why you do not want to be called Indian?
Sure. Indian is one of those terms that is just becoming outdated. It was meant because when the Americas were colonized, they thought they were on their way to India, and so they called the people that came here Indians. The more proper term would be Native American, Native, or Indigenous. Some people, particularly older people, don't mind Indian as much as younger people who are trying to adopt more Indigenous and Native.
Oh, okay. And your organization, you guys are helping out people you have a problem with people getting snatched up?
Yes.
Kids getting just picked up and lost and nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah, one of the things that happens when, it's kind of a two-pronged thing that happens. When we see Native people kind of as mascots and treat them as mascots, it makes them seem like they are relics of the past and kind of become a little bit fetishized almost. And so Native women disappear and are victims of violence, both domestic and sexual violence from people that they don't know, more than any of their peers across the country. They go missing at rates much higher than any other group in the North America, in Canada, and in the United States. One of the problems that happens is that tribal police are technically in charge of women who are missing off reservations. But if they go missing off of the reservation, then it is technically up to local police. They don't work together, so it kind of it can become kind of a gray. It becomes this big kind of gap that women are falling into. And one of the other things that we need to keep in mind is that 65% to 70% of Native people don't live on a reservation anymore, right. And so it's just this, again, I said the fetishization of these women that that we do by dressing up as Pocahontas for Halloween and things like that. She was technically one of our first trafficked sisters. So it's just important that we kind of keep things in perspective and bring attention to these women that go missing.
Yeah, because as long as I've been living, I always thought that it was just a normal thing because you grew up that way. Mm-hmm. But to you, it's not. And I know, like, as a black person, it's kind of like, well, people say stuff about us, and it's like, well, it's not a big deal. You should just get over it. But to you, it does mean a lot. And that also causes, like, generational trauma with people. And you got to kind of try to break that curse. Is there anything you could, like you said, you think different than she does?
Sometimes, absolutely.
Especially like what you're called and how you're represented.
Yeah.
Now you're a lot younger, so how do you want to be represented?
I think it's important to definitely listen to our youth. If the youth are yelling about an issue and if the youth want their voices heard about an issue, then we should listen to them. Some of the biggest Indigenous movements right now are youth-led, the MMIW movement being one of them. There are children out in the streets marching. There are children going and painting the doors of churches. There are also children leading and survivors as well of residential schools, both in Canada and the United States, where Native children, were forced out of their homes and forced into boarding schools where they were abused or murdered. Right. So survivors and their children, or their children's children, are leading these protests and leading these changes for providing resources for their survivors and also bringing criminal charges to the people who are very much still alive and very much still getting away with what they did. As well as also youth are very much leading environmental causes around the world with Indigenous groups in Brazil, Indigenous groups in Japan, all over the world. The youth are important. Especially to Indigenous people. You know, we talk about these 7 generations in front of us, and everything we do affects those 7 generations. So everything we say, everything we do keeps those 7 generations ahead of you, your grandkids, grandkids in mind.
Okay. Now, you said you paint the doors of churches. I need to explain that to me.
Yeah, so there have been, and I do not remember the specific church, but it was in Canada. It was around 2020, I believe, when the bodies at Kamloops were found in Canada. Kamloops is a boarding school that was closed and no longer active. But bodies were found there and unearthed at this school. And in protest, groups of people in the middle of the night went and threw red paint in front of the church, on the sidewalks in front of the church, on the stairs in front of the church, on the doors in front of the churches. People were very upset by this, but their response was, so are we. That's my mom. That's my grandmother. That's my sister. You know, a lot of people, like my mom said, it's very much, you know, given that it's a relic, you know, that Native Americans are no longer around, that with reservations, they're just kind of pushed off to the side, where these issues are very much modern history. You know, a lot of the last residential schools weren't closed until the 90s. So I was alive. You guys were alive. My mom was alive. Everyone in this room was alive. So it's not some ancient history,
right?
You know,
it's
very
pretty
much
recent.
affecting people even to this day. Absolutely.
All right.
We're all still fighting for racial equality. I mean, it's terrible. We have to go through.
We're going to go to break, and then we'll come right back.
Welcome back to the TucknTuck Show. Today's guest is brought to you by the Arb at Tappan Square.
All right, we're back with Cindi and Joe. And before we left, we were talking about all the problems that were going on. But what we want to know is, how can people help? Because a lot of times we don't know what's going on, and nobody shines a light on anything. And if it wasn't for, like, Matt bringing you on the show, we wouldn't have even known.
Yeah.
So you have to educate us on what we need to know and how can we help.
Sure. So since our group was formed in 2016, then our main focus was Columbus Day. Since we abolished Columbus Day and enacted Indigenous Peoples Day, our focus has kind of shifted, and moving forward in past years, we have just kind of dedicated our energy to spreading awareness to different issues and activism in different areas. And it's really just kind of pertaining to Indigenous issues throughout the world. So this last fall, we had we teamed up with Cleveland AIM, the American Indian Movement, and we worked to have a film festival. So there were several short documentaries that were showed at the Apollo Theater, and people were able to come and watch these documentaries. We also, since the pandemic, we have just begun. This last December was our last monthly program. So beginning next month, February, at the Oberlin Public Library, we will be having monthly educational programming. In the past, we've done a lot of documentaries and movies and things like that are free to the public. Normally, they are posted on our Facebook page, the Indigenous Peoples Day Committee of Oberlin. We also have a new Instagram page that is under the exact same name, at IPDC_Oberlin. So everything is posted there. We also just keep those pages updated very regularly with current events and things that are going on not only in the US and Canada, but also internationally, just with environmental activism Indigenous issues, things relating to groups and things that are important to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because even here in Oberlin, we were called the Indians growing up, and we never thought of it as like harmful or anything. But then I guess because we're not Native Americans, we didn't think of it that way. But I mean, I know a lot of like sports teams, unfortunately, use as mascots, and now that's going away. And they always tell, like, I listen to a lot of sports radio, and they say, well, the people, most of them don't really care. Now, is that true or not? Because
May I take this one?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead. Sure. So one of the things that the Guardians changed their
Right.
name from the Indians. There are multiple studies that are done that talk about the effect of Native mascots on Native youth in particular. And what happens is that it can kind of create an identity crisis in our youth. And it's important that people read those studies, look at those studies. So one of the things that you said, like, what can we do? Ohio has dozens of high school teams, elementary and high school teams that are named some type of Native American mascot. One of the things that we would love to see happen is legislation that will put that a stop to that. The NCAA does not allow Native mascots anymore unless they are supported by a recognized nation. So, for example, the Seminoles, they are working, in cooperation with that nation, and that's why they're able to get past that rule in the
Right.
NCAA. So here's my thought. Why are we teaching kids from kindergarten until the day that they go to college that it's acceptable to use a Native mascot? And then when they get in college, we tell them that it's not acceptable anymore. We need to start when kids are young to explain to them that no, this is somebody's religion, this is their culture, and it's not something that we are honoring them. If somebody tells you that something is not an honor, the honorable thing is to quit doing it.
right.
And so that's what we need to do. So one of the things that we can all do is to write letters to our representatives and say, I would love to see Ohio put a stop to Native American mascots in our elementary and in our high schools. That's something that we can all just take a few minutes to do, to email or to write those letters. Another thing that you can do is look for, there are places like the Native American Women's Center here in the United States. They do a lot of work to help women who are in crisis, and to help people with job placement and other kinds of services that help women who have been affected by both domestic violence and to help families of missing and murdered Indigenous women.
Okay. Now you guys are Mohawk Indians, is that correct?
Correct.
Or Mohawk Native Americans, and do you guys ever have like a whole thing meet with all the tribes at one time?
So we are a reconnecting family. So my great-great-grandma would have been what the government would have considered a success story of a residential school that we talked about earlier. And so I am not a card holder. We are a reconnecting family. We're trying to get back to our roots and to help to reclaim what was taken from my great-grandmother. So every year there are powwows, are the gatherings. Some powwows are for specific nations, as you mentioned. So there'll be one that is for Mohawk people. There'll be one that might be only for Cheyenne people. But there are also lots and lots of local, smaller powwows. There are several all over Ohio that you can go to in the summer and in the fall. I recommend that everyone kind of just Google and see a powwow near you and go and check it out. You get to see native dancing, drumming, arts and crafts and food. You get some fry bread and Indian tacos.
I went to
It's
one
some
in
good-
California once. It's a good time.
It's a good way
It's a
to
good
kind
time.
of immerse yourself.
Right.
And if they are, all of our local powwows are, they allow spectators. They want people to come and to learn.
Yeah.
And it's a great place. The MCs do a great job of teaching some things about history of Native Americans, about the people that were here in this region, the reasons that they do some of the things in the ring and why the regalia it's not costumes, it's called
Right,
regalia.
right.
Why the regalia is important, the different kinds.
It all has a
different kinds of
spiritual meaning
dances.
to everything. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. They always
Yes, sir.
look to Mother Earth for everything, and I love that about it. Yeah. Do the Native Americans actually have any land in Ohio that is
No,
nothing?
No, there are no federally recognized tribes in Ohio.
So it basically to the west of the Mississippi.
Well, there's lots to the north, south, east, and west of us. Just not
Okay,
not
just
here.
not here.
Yes.
Go figure, Republican state. They can't, man.
Well, kind of goes a little bit with the history is that like here in northern Ohio, the Iroquois kind of were pushed the Erie Indians out of this area, and so their main land, this was their hunting grounds. Their main land was, east of us. So that's where their reserve was when it was time to put the people together. That's where they were.
So how did you get to reconnect? How did you find out, and how did you needed to know?
So kind of it started through family stories. My mom always knew when she was a little girl that they were different. And when you look at my grandpa, it's very clear that he was not, completely a white man. And so they started to ask questions. When my mom was a little girl, they would ask questions. And one time, one of my aunts was sitting on the floor, and my grandpa was working in his wood shop. And she said, what are we? And he said, decent people don't ask those kinds of things. You keep your mouth shut.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And so she was a little scared, but she just sat and played. And a few minutes later, he said, we're Mohawk.
Yeah.
And so then that was always our family story. But then my Joella did some research with a genealogy group here in Oberlin and was able to put a really cool paper trail that kind of matched up to our family story. And so it's been really exciting to kind of put those stories and that actual information together.
Yeah, people don't even understand that Native American goes from black all the way down to white. It's a whole spectrum of colors in there.
There's so much I don't know, that I don't know and was never taught. I mean,
Exactly.
you have like this one small chapter, and the other thing is from Hollywood, you see all these crazy shows, and they even had that one lady dressed up like an Indian? One of them dressed as she was white lady, and she dressed up like Indian.
Well,
they
it's the same.
did that with everything, though.
They did it with black people.
Yeah,
they did it with
Cleopatra and all
Indians.
that.
Yeah, everything's got to be white, lily white.
So,
You're going to get me into a whole nother subject, man. You're going to get pissed off.
Well, we can come back another day and let's just be mad together.
Let's just get it all out on the table.
All right. So before we go, do you have any last thoughts?
I think that my last thought would be that just we as citizens of Oberlin and as the greater community, to just listen to one another's stories. We all have something to offer, and to just listen and have an open mind and be willing to put what you thought you knew into a box and listen to somebody that might be able to tell you something new and something different.
Yeah.
And to be open to that and to come to our events, because we would love to teach you and to learn from you as well.
All right. So you have now, if you have events in the summer or whenever you have events, do you have like a calendar, or can you let us know so we can attend
we'll
and
get
get
it out there
educated
for you.
Yes, we will have a regular email list going out. If you would like your email to be added to that, you can just send it out to our Facebook page or to our Instagram page. You can find both under the Indigenous Peoples Day Committee of Oberlin for both pages.
Okay. And before we go, like I said off camera, we were telling you that Jean is related to us, and you guys said Jean is like
She is our matriarch. She
Yes.
is the one of the founders of this group, and one of the most fascinating and intelligent women that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And she is just wonderful, wonderful person.
She's done a lot of studying
She has.
on the history. Yeah.
Yes, incredibly talented too. She makes jewelry, and we sell that on the Indigenous Peoples Day page sometimes. So all proceeds go to her and us. So,
Oh.
because like I said, she's talented.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
I've
awesome.
known Jean since I was born, so she's been around a long time.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. It was
Thank
great.
you very
I think
much.
it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I feel like I've been educated on some things, but I feel like I need to know a
A
lot
whole
more.
lot more.
There's
Yeah.
so much that I don't know.
I hope we see you again at our
Well, yeah,
events. That
we'll,
would be
we'll
great.
show up.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
If
you.
you come on this, if you come on for us, we'll show up for you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the ARB, Prestige Detailing, and Oberlin Weekly.
And Oberlin Weekly.
We'll get it right one time.
I always forget these sponsors, man. Every week.
It's episode's going on 13, man. We gotta get it right one time.
Well,
we get it right. It's just a
Right.
little stagnant sometimes.
Yeah, we had some food before the show made us fall asleep.
All right, we'll see you next time on TucknTuck.